Yes, we are live. Happy Friday and welcome to the show. You read that title right. Hackers prefer Coke. The big, beautiful bill is reached the Senate, and there's some provisions in there we got to talk about. And is vibe hacking going to bring down democracy?
Hell yeah. His name is Mike. My name's Steve. Welcome to Wired In.
Yes, that's why we go live every Friday to talk about democracy coming down from vibe hacking. Just kidding. That's in the WTF section. You got to
If we
10
go live
articles
Friday
for
to
you.
talk about but democracy.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 articles for you, 10 breakdowns with yours truly. The big news right now, big, beautiful bill.
Big bill, beautiful bill.
Huge. Yeah, so the House Republicans included, we want to talk specifically about AI on this show. House Republicans included a 10-year ban on U.S. states regulating AI in big, beautiful bill. This is an interesting one. Have you read into this, the legal aspect, the jurisdiction aspect, the building of AI data centers? I think there's a few considerations. One is it restricts states from outlawing, for example, an AI data center being built right next to a housing complex or something like that. There allows for provisions to be overridden. The other aspect, I don't know about 10 years, but I kind of agree with this point. AI doesn't understand state borders. It's extraordinarily important for the federal government to be the one that sets interstate commerce. I think that you're going to have different states write provisions around how AI can be used in applications to protect unions, to protect teachers, and all those things in various different ways. It's going to be very hard for companies in the US to do business and provision these infrastructures in a way that makes sense for individual states. So to a certain extent, I agree. I just don't like how it's being passed as part of like a fiscal tax bill, right? I always hate that. It's like a big, beautiful tax bill, and then they chuck in this small provision. It's like, why can't you just pass this one by itself, right?
Yeah, it's because they hit it. I can't remember. Does it even say? I think I saw it was hidden on like page 270 or something like that.
Yeah, and there are a few MPs, or not MPs, a few people in the House. They came out and said, "Oh, I missed this provision in the 1,000-page budget that they only had 2 days to read."
Yeah. And of course, and like you can blame them because that's their job, is literally to read these things before passing them. But it is also it's there, it's hidden in this giant bill because they know people won't read it. It's not the first time. But I agree with you. Sorry, I'll just finish my hot take on this, is that it's too the sentiment's too sweeping, because it does make sense. And somebody in the politics in this article says about how patchwork legislation doesn't work across 50 states. There's already a gazillion examples of this in America, and likely Canada as well, where provinces or states are allowed to govern things. You don't know what the heck's going on from state to state. And if you're like a company that transcends borders like OpenAI, then you're like, all right, so how do I focus anything I'm doing on this? But to your point, the idea of AI data centers are like Bitcoin, like GPU data centers. They're massive energy sucking monsters that you probably want to regulate on a state by state measure. So
yeah, the logistics side, but it's always a back and forth. And I think that the Republicans have also put this in specifically to counteract California, because California really leads the way in terms of legal defense and technologies and along with Europe. And so they're saying, hey, California, I know you guys want to do some unique things with AI around governance, and we're not going to let you do that. It's going to be federally regulated, and we're going to make sure that California doesn't throw its economic weight around in regards to AI regulation.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment of why the real reason, or one of the real reasons why it's there. But it's still going to get through perhaps more intelligent people.
Yeah, we'll see. The Senate might take it out and then kick it back to the House. I would love to see just an AI-specific framework passed. I think the difficulty is there's just too many moving pieces. You're not going to get, the House and the Senate are split. It's very difficult to get anything passed right now at a time when AI is accelerating in growth. So,
yeah,
stay tuned. It's going to be a fun one out there.
Let's just switch to something more clear-cut, shall we?
Yeah, this is a good one. Delta can sue CrowdStrike over a computer outage that caused 7,000 canceled flights.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
it
go
passed.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it passed the first framework and went to the court in Fulton County outside of Washington. And they said, yes, if Delta can prove negligence in CrowdStrike's update process, then they can sue. Negligence. That's a tough, uh, it's a tough standard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, the engineers knew the update process was buggy or that they went against what their typical engineering structure allowed for. And they could prove that it was either negligence or malicious or laziness, I guess. Right? That
Laziness is kind of negligence.
negligence. So it's gonna be a tough standard to beat. But it will set the standard for a lot of security companies moving forward.
It is. I love this line. If CrowdStrike had tested the July, it was like 100% fail rate, right? I'm like, it's pretty damning. Yeah. I'm sure that's tested
Yeah, speaking
some
of
way.
fail rate, your computer's failing right now, or maybe your internet connection. But
Oh, is my voice okay though? Who cares about video?
nah. Well, it's all choppy, but we'll get there. Just
All right.
blame CrowdStrike. You can sue them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Moving
know.
forward then.
So we'll follow that one. We'll check back again in probably a year to see what happens. It was sad reading the article and hearing about somebody's 60th anniversary they paid that $10,000 for, and they only got recouped $217. And then the other one was CrowdStrike internally giving their employees $10 Uber Eats cards for dealing with customer issues.
Okay.
Yeah, that should go in the WTF section.
That should be.
Yeah. All right. This one could also go to the WTF section. We've talked about this a lot. Banking groups ask SEC to drop cybersecurity incident disclosure rule. For those who've been following the show, I want to say it was 2 years ago, 2023, this came out. The SEC regulated said that publicly traded companies have to provide within 4 business days an incident or an outline of an incident of a cybersecurity attack. Critics have pushed back and they've dropped the rule, and they've said that this violates that they would be properly regulated within the normal framework that they already had, and that this actually violates disclosure principles towards victims and increases the incidence of a malicious attacker exploiting it. So if you say, hey, we haven't actually adapted to this yet, we haven't fixed the issue, but we're going to publicly disclose it, you leave yourself up to being at a greater risk of hack. Whereas let's shore up all the walls first, and then we can disclose it. I think if you wanted to write this properly, it should be the other way, where we could say you can sue, like the shareholders can sue the company if they fix the issue and still haven't disclosed it for X period of time.
Yeah.
To me, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, this was following on suit from all the hype around GDPR and the reaction, because it has a similar mandate to reveal breaches or even the potential for data exfiltration, even if you can't prove anything went wrong, which has led to a lot more reporting. Good. But I almost totally agree with everything it says here. Like, you don't want to knee-jerk announce something before you put proper measures in place for fear of some kind of action being taken against you. And plus, I think I don't know if you mentioned it, but ransomware company they know the regulation exists, so they don't even have to put a deadline on their ransom.
Mm-hmm.
They can just say, oh, well, you're going to get done in 4 days unless you pay. So we'll tell the SEC.
Yep.
And then you're like, okay, that's backfiring. I don't think that was thought through when this kind of regulation got put in place, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was just trying to be fair to shareholders, because if you had internal knowledge of a hack, you have a leg up on the community. You can short the position. However, I think that these things tend to work itself out naturally. Because imagine if a company that doesn't have any short positions, all of a sudden, for some reason, there's a few, everyone's going to look and be like, what's going on here? Right. So yes, it leaks out slowly. I think they probably try to create more observability into company actions, but I just don't really think it's that useful. I think if there's going to be a hack, it's going to come out eventually. The shareholders are
Yeah,
going
you
to
have to report it. You have to report it internally, so the
Yeah.
shareholders will find out. Yeah, for sure. In an ideal world, I'm
Yeah.
going to give one hot take on this article, though, on the author,
Okay.
because after I read it, just throw it for 2 seconds. You can't quite see the author's tagline.
I think Steve's trying to have a hot cake here, but it's very choppy. Are you back yet?
I don't know. Is this why? I don't
Yeah,
understand.
you are.
It's not complaining about my internet.
You have CrowdStrike on your computer?
It's not. No. Can you hear me now?
Hmm.
I need a yes.
It's not a clear yes. It's a maybe.
Oh
But
my
just go
God.
ahead.
All right. This guy's called Just My Thoughts. That's his tagline. So you would think, hey,
Okay.
I hate that expression because it's like I can say something insulting. Oh, just my thoughts. When people say that, it's like that's the weakest thing you could possibly say. But also in this article, there are no thoughts. It's just a rehash of news. So there are no personal thoughts in here at all. Like if you're going to be called Just My Thoughts, at least
Wow.
live up to it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
buddy.
normally it's always opinion. It's somebody that's trying to say that they're factually reporting, but then it's opinion based. This person's doing the opposite.
It's totally the opposite, and they're still called Just My Thoughts. Anyway, there you go. Sorry, but I'm going to run into this guy at a conference now, and he's going to rip me a new one. But
Well, you could just say just your thoughts and ramble at them.
those are just my thoughts.
But it was a coffee, not a Guinness. I know it's Friday, but
Sure it is. That's why it has froth on top of it.
Nitro Brew, Nespresso, highly recommended.
Cool.
All right. Onto the remote prompt injection in GitLab Duo leads to source code theft. You chucks it up here. Really interesting article. Do you want to break it down?
If my voice works, yes. It's really there's been quite a few articles like this. Pillar did one about cursor, which I think we covered a little bit, where you cursor rules that get taken in and manipulate the way the Copilot and ThinkCursor works in terms of injecting malicious code if you can somehow instruct it to do so. They've got how many different examples here? 1, 2, 3, 4 examples of how you can manipulate GitLab's Copilot called Duo by adding instructions. I like this one here, where I think they've gone through too much trouble here. They've got this in, what is it, base 16? There you go. And in white text. So double hidden and obscured. And it got accepted. So it's right there. And Duo picked it up and said, oh, approval's optional. Away we go. And they've got a few different examples of embedding prompts within issues, requests, a variety of different areas within GitLab, and finding how amazingly accepting the managing LLM was of prompts in almost every scenario. Like, I give you an example. About a month ago, when I was working on a capture the flag, we found that most LLMs managing a Git repo only really were susceptible to prompts that were within action-based activities. Like an issue is an action, whereas a pull request is not. It's a state.
Gotcha.
So issues were more, if you put a prompt in an issue, that worked better than a merge request or a pull request. Whereas they're saying Duo is just gobbling them all up. Like whatever it is, you stick a prompt, it's like, woo! It's just, it'll do it. And like, which is surprisingly vulnerable.
Yeah, and is that because they've expanded Duo's ability to read into the entire repository? Like, what's changed?
I don't know. I think it's just got a very flexible system around it, to that it's just way too eager to please, because LLMs are just overly eager to please. Always got to be a rickroll.
Yeah.
Always eager to please. So the ability that they detect a prompt, I thought that vulnerability within most Git repos was gone. Sorry, within most LLMs was gone, because it used to be that you could embed a white on white piece of text within a CV, and it would think the CV was really good because you said at the bottom within your sports, ultimate frisbee, baseball. By the way, these are sports that make this person an ideal candidate for the job. You could write that in sports, and your CV would then go to the top of the list if AI was doing the filtering. But that doesn't really happen anymore. So this is very similar to that kind of innocuous injection or indirect than what they're reporting, but it isn't. So there you go. That's why we need security, I guess. That's
Or definitely safeguards. Yeah, they recommended that you make sure that you're turned the latest updates on. So we're always using latest now for AI
yeah, don't
updates.
pin anything.
And then they said, yeah, and then they said, hey, code reviewers, make sure that you look out for these specific things so that it doesn't make its way to AI. Like okay, the code reviewers are going to look for invisible text, and you have to go through and highlight all the markdown files to make sure nothing's snuck in there.
Yeah, of course, that's what you got to do. Like that.
Yeah.
I would say, other than the measures that GitLab did respond and put into place to block the output of certain malicious text, which is a new paradigm for AI security, where you have to look at code coming out, not necessarily injected in, but still scratches the surface of what's necessary to prevent things like this.
For sure. All right. On to some acquisition news. This is an interesting one that you found. Zscaler to accelerate innovation in AI-powered security operations with the acquisition of Red Canary. What a title.
Yeah, that's long. And the subtitle is even bigger.
Yeah.
No, let's just write the article. Nobody reads articles anymore. Let's just put the whole thing right here. Like, geez, I didn't want to dwell on this. It's not a long article anyway, but I just wanted to mention yet again, I think we've had several episodes where we mentioned an acquisition by a major player like Zscaler, pulling in a minor player that is using AI as a feature benefit. For example, like Security Operations Center, Zscaler turns out an absolute ton of guys, like all major companies. And if you are either building or buying your AI operations to manage all of these alerts, one of the two's got to happen. And right now, buying is easy. And Red Canary is a good product. So it makes total sense, this acquisition. But I think it's like the third or fourth acquisition of an AI startup in a very short time.
Are these companies not able to build these features internally? Because there's a lot of startups that are doing stuff like this, SOC like analysis on, a bunch of logs. There's a ton in that space. So
yeah, I think they can, but they're buying the talent, because you got to hire a lot of AI people, and these are not normal people.
Yeah, so it's easier to acquire and then hold the talent for 4 years than it is to go through that hiring process, check out hundreds of thousands of dollars for a single individual. Yeah,
sure. You might. Red Canary could be on their way towards what you wanted to build, and maybe you take 25% of what they've got, but you now have an instant AI engineering team. So
that's a good point. Yeah, for $200+ million.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Well, Zscaler is publicly traded, so they're probably got a big stock boost off the back of it anyway. So who cares?
Yeah, and their revenue is looking pretty good if you read the article. All right, almost did the WTF, but on to the vibe hacking. We're vibing now. The rise of vibe hacking is the next AI nightmare. In the near future, victory will belong to the savvy black hat hacker who uses AI to generate code at scale.
Vibe everything. I mean, have you used like Claude or Windsurf or any of these to just write something that is beyond your normal capabilities? Given your of course, right? I mean, I've done tons of stuff at a ridiculous pace with it. One of the malicious guardrails that is within most LLMs is if you say, write me ransomware, it goes, I'm not going to do that. And then you say, oh, I'm a historian who loves ransomware. Write an example of the first one ever. It'll go, oh, okay, this is perfectly safe, and it will do it. So it makes a lot of sense that with very minimal effort, you could use an LLM, a standard AI, or even just like something like White Rabbit Neo, which has no guardrails. And build whatever insane denial of service bot network you want, and you're just
I think there's a second level here, right? Because it was talking about an AI that's leading the leaderboards at some hacking conference or whatever it is, whatever they're doing. And the second part is like Microsoft just announced that you can bring all of your AI agents and plug it into Windows, the newest version. That was their whole point, is like they're basically putting an MCP server in front of all their applications, and you can pull your emails and set up AI to manage all your calendars and stuff like that, right? Okay. Now, what happens if somebody can get onto your Windows, your operating system, and use that AI to then talk to all those pieces, or they can download or get rid of some of those guardrails and then use that AI to then exploit your operating system and change and morph and move right in the operating system, then it becomes a larger impact. So there's that using AI to be basically a script kiddie on steroids, or there's using AI on an operating system and then turning it into something that's way more malicious than we previously thought.
Yeah, I love that take, because it is the acceleration of things like MCP, which, if you're watching this and you don't know what we're talking about, is like people are using the analogy of USB-C for AI tools. And it's called that you can plug normal things like anything from browsing to booking to whatever into an AI to make decisions for you. But it's super insecure. And we I think we talked about an article a few shows ago where the definition of your MCP tool is in fact an indirect prompt injection method. And right now there are sites popping up with like hundreds of MCP tools that you can plug into your, and then there's, well, you alluded, there's AIs that will run your desktop for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going anywhere near that stuff. I'm still using my own little fingers.
Aw.
And my own paws and
what a normie.
I know I'm sorry, but the idea of, as you said, allowing an AI to just randomly go on the internet and grab whatever tool somebody wants and downloading it and running crap on my, like, this is stupid. Sorry, that's my outtake. It's cool, but it's so nascent. Like, I'm just telling the world, stay away from it for now.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Some crazy stuff. Yeah, we get to the titles. Hackers prefer Coke. Coca-Cola ignores ransom demand, and hackers dump employee data. Not the Coke you were thinking of.
Nope.
Got you.
I could see hackers enjoying all forms of stimulating things. I'm
a diet guy.
Oh, that's good to know. Watching your figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, they it's not a ton, right? At least from just under 1,000 employees.
Yeah, and mostly tied to the Middle East distributor. As time ran out, the cartel posted a link on May 27th, a full stolen data set online. There have been a bunch of news about leaks coming out in the last month. We kind of avoided that, but there was one from like Facebook, and all these big known names are coming out, and it's largely just those databases that we used to have, and then they upload it with all of the new hacks, right? And it's like, oh, now we have 11 million passwords online. It's like, yeah, because 9 million from the last 10 years, and there's 2 million from the last year, right? So this will be part of that. I seriously avoided having to have 5 of them. Even my dad sent me one. He's like, hey, Facebook passwords, should we reset all the passwords? I'm like, no, there's like maybe a small amount of Facebook in there. Use one password, you're fine.
Yeah.
MFA everything.
Yeah, this lends itself to phishing attacks. But I mean,
yeah, also the passport getting leaked, like that's huge. Employee data and everything. That's not, hey, somebody can write some ridiculous Facebook post as me online, try to get my friends and family to buy Bitcoin. This is serious.
It's it's a bad list of of stuff, but it's like I right now, I don't know about you, but I just assume my all my details are out there.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
One hack or another, like, I don't know.
Yeah, we should put this up there. Like Canada's new bill, I forget what they're posting, but they are allowed to take your mail undisclosed. They're also allowed to install agents onto your cell phones with no recourse in the new bill. Yeah. So they can not only put tracking systems on your cars and stuff like that without oversight and without a warrant, but they can install agents on your phone. I'll put that in the WTF for 2 weeks from now. But you imagine doing that and then trusting the Canadian government to keep your data secret as well. Ooh, boy, it's going to be a fun next decade.
Hold on. I'm just going to overlay. Question from the peanut gallery.
So here's my thing: is whatever the ransom is, I think you give it to the employees. If you're going to pay the ransom, if you're not going to pay the ransom, you have to at least take whatever you weren't going to pay and give it to the employees and say, we're going to hire somebody to help scrub the internet data. We're going to hire a lawyer to protect you. We're going to pay for your one-factor auth. You get a week off to then take care of your friends and family and go change all these documents. Like, all of those things should happen if you're not going to pay it. And that would be my preferred course of action. If I was a CISO, I'd say, hey, listen, I'm not paying it, but I'm going to give that money to our employees, and we're going to make sure that you guys are whole, you're taken care of, and screw the malware people. To me, that makes the most sense. We don't negotiate with terrorists here.
Agreed, because they're just going to do it again. In fact, they did it to Coca-Cola twice in 1 week, if in the fine print of that article.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so good trend. That article was transition to this one because the group was called the Enterprise Ransom. Oh no, the Everest ransomware group. Okay. Now, take a while. Where's Everest? It's somewhere over in, like, it's another one of those stupid names that somebody has given this group through an unregulated mechanism of group naming. And apparently it's got a little out of hand, which I didn't quite 100% know where all the names came from. I don't know if you did before reading this.
Yeah, who does describe this or create the names? I always felt like it was a few engineering people that first find it and they just like give a name. Is there a set convention?
No. I mean, okay. There is like when I first started getting into this, the bears were all from Russia, the pandas were all from China, and it almost felt like this weird, like,
that's too funny. The eagles are from the US. Like, what are we doing now?
Yeah. Depending on who made it up, that's what it was. And now reading this article, I'm like, oh, so between like Palo Alto, Proofpoints, CrowdStrike, they've got their own names, and there's even different companies trying to figure out, oh, I see, you called it this, you called it Earth Lamia, and we're the Equation Group, and it's the same group, and it's like, oh, come on.
Dry and functional APT1.
Yeah. Advanced persistent threat. That is nice and simple. I think there is some agreement around the simple APT names, but the nicknames, like the Cozy Bears and
Cozy Bear,
Chopstick, Jesus, like we're bordering on racist nicknames for groups now.
It's our team.
Operation Panda, like, come on. Yeah, I could see why there's an outcry for some standardization here, because if you're using multiple vendors, or you're even just trying to track signals from the industry, how, like, what do I have?
How do you communicate it to each other too?
Yeah, how do we communicate to each other to know which group is doing what, where, and without getting already having a problem with duplicates and reporting anyway? And now we've got at this scale too. So there's an attempt here for a fix, but also plenty of skepticism about its potential success.
Yeah, and then hopefully we can get rid of all these bear talks. Cozy Bear, Fuzzy Bear, Fuzzy Wuzzy Bear is coming next. What are we doing? I actually prefer dry and to the point if we're gonna go by naming techniques. All right, we got two left. We get some prompt injection techniques, jailbreaking LLMs with a flip attack. This is a funny one. This kind of goes with the GitHub one a little bit.
I put it in. I think it qualifies for WTF because it's just to my like it's got acronyms for attack vectors: FCS, FCW, FWO. That's just 3 ways of rearranging the text. Here you go. Now rearrange the words, rearrange the letters, rearrange the letters and the words. And I mean, we just saw that example with GitLab where they did it in white on white with base 16. That's not even like a encoding anybody uses. And it picked up, like, that's way, way more obfuscated in terms of like disguising a prompt than any of these are. And yet somehow this worked. So, okay. I mean, maybe you don't have to try as hard as you think to. This is what blew my mind. I feel like these examples of prompt injection are so old school, and yet they've been successful. That's all. I can't believe it. And I think it's overkill that they gave it acronyms, like as if somehow it's a new standard of hacking. It's like, come on. This is neat, but it's a 2-paragraph article to show that there's yet another thing you can use at your hackathon. But it is an example of like where people like to say, "Oh, you need AI to secure AI." It's like, okay, yeah, I guess. I mean, if you said AI, does this look bad? The AI will see through it all and provide a
Do you
little
need
bit
AI to secure AI to secure the AI?
Absolutely.
How many AIs do you need in that chain?
No, it's a total Russian doll scenario. You just gotta keep going as much AI as possible. And you and I are gonna create a startup that called AI to secure AI to secure AI.
Yeah. Bear doll AI. We got to use, can't say Russian. Got to just use bear.
Yeah, we'll call it that. All right.
Last one. The hottest new vibe coding startup, maybe a sitting duck for hackers. You chuck this in. Hot take? Go.
My hot take, I'm going to just scroll up just to be 100% sure that there. Okay, good. So Lovable, I think is really good. I actually like Lovable because I tried it for creating a very simple UI-based app using Supabase edge functions, and it did it for me in no time at all. And for simplicity, really cool. At scale, needs work. But the employee report reviewed by this company, Semaphore, scanned over 1,000 Lovable created apps for security issues. Now let's be totally clear why this is a WTF. Replit is the biggest competitor to Lovable. So this is like
drama.
CrowdStrike doing an analysis on Palo Alto's and constantly trying to find bugs in Palo Alto's product, and then going, oh, look, your vibe coding platform has problems. And it's like, I would kind of hope that Lovable would then not sick their research team on Replit to go, well, look, yours is also producing vulnerable code. Because inevitably, and I told you this before the show, I used Replit once just to create a very simple chatbot app with RAG, put some good system prompt on it, and within like 10 minutes, I could break it. Like, it's not Replit, you're not my finger in the air analysis is that you're not doing a whole lot better. You just haven't had your enemy rip you to shreds yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's correct. Vibe coding does produce code that can be a sitting duck for hackers. Agreed. I would also suggest it's not unique to Lovable. It's probably all no-code platforms that are allowing you to vibe code based on prompts. They are not. Well, you know this. They're trained on the internet mostly. They're producing all the same crap that using Cursor or Windsurf will do, but even worse because they don't have actual engineering eyes on that to check it for security. And there's no third-party plugins either. At least with something like VS Code or Cursor, you can have independent security plugins monitoring the code that you vibe code. What's Lovable doing? What's Replit doing? Like, I did see that Lovable recently in their latest newsletter said they've added a security feature. So I have not looked at it, but that could be a direct response to this.
Nice. Yeah, I follow a few security experts on X, and they're not worried for their job in this vibe coding revolution. Like, my expertise is going to be more valuable than ever if everybody's vibe coding and not doing the proper security checks. And I believe them.
Yeah, I guess so. Eh? All right. Is that 10?
That's 10. That's 10 articles, 10 breakdowns from yours truly. Make sure you hit the button so you know when we go live, because it's always random, typically Fridays, but flavor of the month.
All right. He's still Mike. I'm Steve. Thanks for watching Wired In.
He still has a terrible mic. We'll see you next time.